Hi, everyone out there. Thank you for joining us on Relationship Coaching Live. I'm wearing my pink wig as usually. That's my thing here in Relationship Coaching Live. But let's just my pink wig. I just love my pink hair. Okay, actually, I had a really bad hair day. Every day is a bad hair day with me because I'm lazy to do my hair. Yes. So wigs are it. I love my wigs ever since my cancer healing journey. I got addicted to wigs. I have literally a wall with hooks and all these wigs, they look like people at this point. It's like they're my little dolls, like all on the wall. So hi, somebody has joined us on, let's see, YouTube. Thank you for joining us. YouTubers, you can actually comment and we are able to see your comments. So today I have two amazing guests and we are going to talk about neurodiversity and relationships. So I'm going to bring them up. First of all, I'm going to bring up Chris Korman. He's the author of the book OMG. It's Harvey Korman's son. So please welcome my friend Chris. Hi, Chris. Good to see you. I'm good. I'm good. And I'm going to bring a friend of yours who's now a friend of mine. And we hit it off. She's amazing. And she's Dr. Eliana Romero. She's a Latina like myself.
Yes, I am. I love pink hair also. I had it pink for a little while, but a wig's a way better way to go because to dye it pink, you have to keep touching it up all the time, and everything in your house gets full of pink.
Yes, because I thought about it, and then they told me you have to use bleach. And since my cancer thing, I'm like, no to bleach. No thanks. Buy bleach. Yeah, buy bleach. It's done. I'm done. I broke up with bleach. So yeah, totally broke up. But this is Relationship Coaching Live, and you can't see the sign because I have two guests today. Usually I'm here by myself or with one guest. And I apologize for all the noises from my street. We have sometimes sirens. They're not coming from me for me. We have the police, the firefighters, like everybody. It's a very busy street. But anyway, so don't worry. You're going to hear that. It's part of the Relationship Coaching Live. So today, you guys, we're going to talk about neurodiversity and relationships, which is a fascinating topic. Since, first of all, let's just introduce Chris and Eliana and talk about neurodiversity and yourselves. How about you, Chris? Let's start with Chris.
Well, I was on the internet looking for neurodiversity foundations to explore as far as getting involved with public speaking and nonprofit fundraising, and I came across the neurodiversity that I forgot your name wrong all the time. Eliana?
Yeah. Yes.
And I think I found Grace is you as well on LinkedIn. So here's this plethora of connections that you don't usually meet on LinkedIn because you're very careful. Are these people real? Are they not real? So I reached out to E and I said, like, I'm Chris Korman. I grew up with a thing called hyaline membrane disease, which is a lack.
What is that?
Which is a lack of oxygen to the brain and the central nervous system.
Oh.
And I was premature, 9 months cesarean section. I wasn't supposed to live past 72 hours. And I was in the room next to Nicole Burt Bacharach's daughter, who did not make the winner. See, I think Eve will know this better than I would. There's a thing called blue baby syndrome.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
If you don't clear that 72-hour window, there's a very good chance you become mentally retarded or you don't survive at all. And I suppose I cleared the window in 69 hours. And I told you that I want to get involved with talking about online or in person, but the whole COVID thing happened. So that changed the whole landscape of public speaking. But I said I want to find a way to share my story about how important early diagnosis of a disability is.
Yes.
But also, how does a disability affect the family overall, collectively?
Right. That's what we're going to focus on today on this live is about like your relationship as a, can I say neurodivergent? Is that politically correct?
Okay.
I'm so scared. I'm going to say something wrong. So we're going to talk about that, Chris. Thank you for letting us know, what your situation is. And now let's go to Eliana and you tell us what your situation is, and then we'll move on to you guys and relationships.
Sure. So I grew up in Venezuela, and I grew up as an only child. And so I was always, think being Latina, and this, we get kind of forced to socialize, right? I mean, people say hi with kisses, like personal space is not something, everybody dances close together all the time.
Mhm.
So you kind of just get forced into socializing, whether you like it or not. And for me, I think it ended up being a good thing.
Yeah.
And then being an only child, I didn't have to, I was very close to my cousins, but I was still the only child. So I didn't have to do necessarily the regular interactions that you do all the time. And when I did do something weird, everybody just said, well, she's an only child, so that's fine.
Okay.
It wasn't until I'm like the complete opposite of Chris, who was diagnosed early. And so his whole upbringing was kind of centered around his neurodiversity and working around it. I was not diagnosed till I was 43. And
Wow.
then, so for me, it was more of, and I was diagnosed with Asperger's, but it was more of like, oh, okay, so I'm not weird and I'm not antisocial. I'm not being difficult. Like, this is
Right.
what's happening. So I think it's polar opposites of the story, right? Is coming to terms with who you are and accepting who you are, finding out as an adult versus growing up knowing that there's something that's different about your brain and being comfortable with it. So I think we bring very different perspectives.
I love that. I love that you point that out. You should be hosting this. Not me. I just ask questions. But yeah, that's fascinating
Uh-oh.
because I'm sure like your relationships with your family and your spouses or
You lost us.
boyfriends and girlfriends is probably completely different experientially. So let's start with Chris. I know that your father was a very important figure in your life as you talk about him a lot in your book. Um, in regards to your disability and how he dealt with it and how much love he gave you and how much encouragement and so tell us a little bit about your relationship with your dad first and your mother or siblings or whatever your root family. Oh, I think he froze.
Did you?
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
we lost Chris. No. All right, can you answer the question, Eliana? But instead of like I think yeah, I think his Wi-Fi is acting up. So let's go to Eliana. So you got diagnosed late in life when you were 43
Yeah.
as having Asperger's. And so how did that affect you personally? Because your relationships were probably different growing up than a quote unquote normal person or typically, how is it called?
Neurotypical.
What is it?
Neurotypical.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know there's all this language that you have to learn around it. Yeah.
No. So, so it all of a sudden you were like, "Oh, I get it. That's what's
Yeah.
happening." So, how did that feel
So
when you came to that realization that it was okay what you
yeah.
went through, what you felt?
So the reason I even looked into it was because I thought I noticed some neurodivergence in my son. And
Hmm.
a lot of the stuff I noticed in him were quirks that I kind of had. And so I was like, maybe I should get tested. And so I did. And I think for me, the biggest thing was it was almost a relief. Like, it gave me permission to be who I'd always been. And
I
then
love
it also, there's certain situations in my life that I found easy, social situations, and ones that I found difficult. And it does not change how difficult or hard situations are at all, but it just makes me okay with it. And it's not like I don't always try to figure out, why don't I fit in here, or why isn't this working? I kind of know why it isn't working, and I know what's different about me. And also, there's a lot of people that I haven't told, but I did tell, I not like people that I felt would be comfortable with it, and
Right.
most of them were like, "Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. What are you going to do about it?" So nobody at least not the people that matter. And my mom is fascinated by it, and she's always asking me questions. And is this because not everything is because you have Asperger's. Some things are just
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
that's the person you are. So she'll always ask me, is this because of your Asperger's, or is this because of you? I don't know. And I'm still figuring it out. There's things that, like, my son will say something bothers him, and then I'll be like, yep, that bothers me too. So that might be a happy thing. And so it gives you a lot more acceptance of yourself, I think. And it also makes relationships are really hard.
Yes.
As a neurodivergent. And I think it gives you, I guess, forgiveness, acceptance. Otherwise, I think in general, we tend to overanalyze situations and try to figure out everything about them and try to figure out what we could have done wrong to like the tiniest detail. And so I think it gives me a little perspective in terms of, yeah, well, this is something that's going to be hard for me. But I know that it's going to be hard for me, and I shouldn't try to, it's called masking when we try to behave the way that people expect us to behave.
Yes.
And so I shouldn't, at least in real friendships and real relationships and with anybody that matters, I don't really try to mask anymore because it's exhausting and I'm not. So
yes.
Why would I start? Like, if they need me to mask to be able to have a relationship with me, then that's not a relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Meetings or for job interviews, I can mask all day long because it's only going to be a few hours.
Absolutely.
But mostly it gives you permission to be you. And then I think people that are close to you and that love you, it makes them a little bit more tolerant when they understand you're not there's certain things that have to be certain ways, and it's not because you're trying to play a power game or because it really does bother you a lot.
Absolutely. No, we were talking the other day and I was telling you that I think I might be in the spectrum, but I'm not. I am not tested. And that's because I do connect very well with people in the spectrum. And it's like I relate to like everything you're saying, I relate to it. And we were talking about the desire to be alone is so strong. And it's almost like I know I feel like whenever I have to socialize, I do love my friends, like one really well. But when it's like a party or whatever, it's like I feel so awkward. Like I don't, it's not my jam.
No.
Yeah, unless they're dancing. I love dancing. So then I'll start dancing and I don't have to talk to anyone.
I've noticed it's situations that you have a script for that are okay. And so for me, when I was a teenager, I don't know if it's from watching TV or because I had all my cousins, but I kind of knew what teenagers are supposed to do.
Yes.
And so I was able to do that. But then like in a marriage, my parents got divorced. I didn't have like a script. And so I had really no idea what a marriage looks like. And so it was hard because I always try to behave kind of like you're acting in the role that you're supposed to. And I didn't watch enough documentaries or enough movies, and I didn't have enough actual role models in my life to be able to mimic what that looks like. And the same thing right now, like I'll get in situations where I'm just like, yep, after it happens, I'm like, I totally messed that up because I have no idea how that's supposed to work. And so with people, I try texting. I like texting a lot because I can rewrite text a bunch. And I actually have really good friends that are like my filters. And actually one of my friends is a counselor, and I'll send her stuff all the time. Be like, I'm going to respond this. And she'll say, no, Eliana, you can't do it. Like, you have to change it. You have to do this. Because to me, I'm just. And like when I start text messages, I say what I'm supposed to say. And then someone will text back, good morning, and then do the rest because I guess it's not polite to start a text message without a good morning. But to me, telegrams, like get the point across. If it's not necessary information, don't put it in there.
Absolutely.
But things that people need. And like when people, how are you? That is such a horrible, horrible question to ask somebody that's neurodivergent, because they're either going to be obsessive about saying, I'm fine, thank you, and you, because that's what we've learned we're supposed to say. Yes. Or you get to a point where you're like, do you really want to know how I am? Because I will tell, like, if you ask me how I am, I'll either make some generic comment, or I'll say, actually, I'm having a horrible day because of this, this, and this happened. And people don't want all that.
No.
They want you to say, oh, I'm great. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
And if you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you the answer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For those who just tuned in, we're talking about neurodiversity and relationships. And Dr. Eliana Romero is here chatting with us. And she was diagnosed as Asperger's. And she's talking about her experience with relationships. So your desire to be alone, your you're like being direct to the point. I feel that one. Like I'm also like that. Like I go, sometimes I look at the text, I'm like, this is kind of brutal. This is not
really hard to build relationships. I think if you've already established a relationship, I think people that are on the spectrum tend to be extremely loyal and very kind. Like it's very hard for us to be outwardly now mess with my kids. I'm a different person, but I don't see the purpose of being mean to people because it's funny because when Asperger's was first like created as a disease, one of the huge diagnostic codes was lack of empathy. And so that still to this day is, in fact, they've tried to change the name, and Dr. Asperger's like almost looked at like a bad person now because he said that, because people think, oh, people with autism don't have empathy. And I tend to think it's the complete opposite. I think that we feel so deeply that we try to protect ourselves from situations because we know how deeply we're going to feel. I think it's the complete opposite. I think we have extreme amounts of empathy, but we've learned to protect ourselves because people take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because
that's really hard in relationships.
No, I totally understand because I know people with Asperger's and they're like the sweetest people. Like if you ask them to do something for you, they will do it. So I can totally see how people that are not as nice would take advantage of that trait, and but yeah, they're almost like angels to me. I love, people in the spectrum are like so direct and so no filter. Like what's up with them. I can't stand it when somebody is like playing games or masquerading as something they're not. It drives me crazy.
But isn't that the crux of dating?
Yes.
So I don't even remember the number, but it's above 50% of people that are on the spectrum are not in a relationship. Either
it's hard
because it's hard, and also I don't know the number, but I've read it in multiple places. People that are narcissists tend to target people that are on the spectrum because we don't read it. So if somebody tells us, I'm going to do everything I can to help you, we're like, oh, that's awesome. We just take them for their word, because if we tell somebody we're going to do everything we can to help them,
it's going to happen.
Everything we can. And so it's really easy to get roped into that. And now I realize that I have, the most, I'm trying to think, not as many women, but the men in my life, whether it's bosses or relationships, there have been a lot of narcissists.
Oh, absolutely. Same here. Starting with my mom, who was, she saw, and again, I don't know if I'm in the spectrum, but I do relate to a lot of what you're saying and what, friends that are in the spectrum tell me, and I just connect.
Yeah.
Like really well.
At what point do you think it'll stop being like, it is a spectrum, right? We call it a spectrum. At what point is it just going to be a spectrum and everybody's somewhere on the spectrum, right? Where are you on the spectrum enough to be considered on the spectrum? And where
I love that. Yes. Well, you have like the autism is on one side and then the narcissism is on the opposite. So it is all a spectrum, but different categories of that, like from the one who cons you into, they love bombing you and stuff, and then they trick you. And you're like, what just happened?
Yeah.
We're nice to me.
How many times it's happened to me and I keep falling for
it. All the time. It's like
even my kids, like my son too, friends will be like his best friends for a tiny bit and then they don't want to be his friends anymore. And I'm just like, yeah, but how do you stop that from happening? You put up all these walls and don't let yourself love anybody, but that's not worth it, is it?
No, I don't think so. I think what I've done is, and again, I'm not diagnosed, but what I've done is I developed a love for humanity in general, and also to understand even a narcissist, where they're coming from, and how they have a disease. Really, it's a disease that they have, and it's a personality disorder. So by forgiving everybody that's wronged me, or in my eyes has wronged me, right? Because that's subjective.
Yep.
They could wrong me, and to somebody else, it could be like, it's just them. It's no big deal. But I feel wronged.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that universal love, I think that it kind of shields me from getting hurt as much. I still, like I heard somebody who doesn't even mean anything to me. Who is a comedian, a male comedian, and I've never done anything to this person. And he said, I'm an effing bitch. And I was like, it shocked me so hard. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It's like, I've done nothing to this person. I don't even talk to him a lot.
Yeah.
I don't dislike him. I don't like him. I'm kind of neutral, but it's like, it felt like a betrayal, but I'm like, then I have to reason out. It's not really a betrayal because this is who he is. This person is like that with everybody. He's like, talks crap about everybody. So if he said that behind my back, it shouldn't surprise me. So I got over it real quick. We have to talk ourselves into, I think, getting out. Yeah, like getting your
argument in your brain.
Yes, logic works so beautifally because it's like, oh, okay, I get it. It's okay. I'm good now, right? You have that too.
Do not work with teenage girls.
No, it doesn't.
I have a teenage daughter, and like I haven't cried in 2024, and it's not because things haven't happened.
Yeah,
I haven't cried, and teenage girls cry all the time.
No,
and every time she starts crying, I'm like, what? Okay, when something bad happens, you either learn from it or you fix it. Those are your two choices. That's the only way for it to be productive. Crying is not productive. It reduces oxygen flow to your brain, which makes it harder for you to think, which makes it harder for you to do the productive things you're supposed to do about this negative situation. But apparently that's not what you're supposed to say as a mom. You're supposed to be like, oh, it's okay. I'm like Sheldon in Big Bang Theory. I'm like, here, have some tea. Let's get over it and move on.
Yes. And that's so funny.
So she goes to her room and cries for a little bit. And then we talk about how we're going to either fix it or learn from it.
Yes.
But I'm like, why are we going to cry? What's it going to accomplish? And I blah, blah, blah. I get it. But no, and it doesn't improve the situation at all. And it's not productive. And I'm
absolutely 100%. I think personally, I feel like when our mind and our heart are aligned, that's when we're the most balanced as humans. So logic is amazing. I love logic, but I also love heart. And again, like you were saying, you protect your heart, so it feels like it's closed. But if you open it to like the love to humanity rather than personal relationships, which come more from ego, then I think once we have that balance of the mind and the heart, I think we can function better in the world. Any human being, right?
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like you think about the like quirks or, behaviors or whatever you want to call it. But a lot of the times what makes us more comfortable doesn't actually make anybody else less comfortable. In fact, sometimes it ends up helping them. It just wasn't something that was as overpowering for them.
Yeah.
Right? But like the changing the volume or lowering the lights or eliminating background noise, all those stuff. Yeah, it wasn't making you want to claw your eyes out. However, when we eliminate it, you function better also. We're just hypersensitive to to the things that everybody else is still sensitive to, just not to the degree that it causes them physical discomfort.
Right.
So it's not like we need opposite of what other people need. We just need the same things everybody needs, but possibly more urgently.
I see. Yes. That makes sense.
That's how I feel like our brains are just a little hyper tuned to some things, and nobody really knows how autism works yet. And maybe we will, but there's, especially with Asperger's, typically I like to call them superpowers. I don't know if anybody else calls them. And absolutely. I also don't I'm applying for jobs right now. Whole other podcast about trying to apply for jobs if you're on the spectrum. Because people with autism read a job description, and if there's one thing on there that you don't know how to do, you don't apply for the job because you don't know how to do it. But most people just bullshit their way through it, but we don't know how to do that.
Right.
So it's really hard to get through the interview process. And again, something like 78% of people with autism are unemployed or underemployed.
Wow.
Because we don't know how to get through the first face-to-face interview. Once people hire us, everybody loves, for the most part. I mean, don't put us in the customer service role because we're probably going to make some people mad. But we're going to catch mistakes that other people don't catch. We're going to organize things better than other people. Like, there's things that we can do really well.
Yes.
But I got distracted with the job thing. So yeah, I just think that so on the jobs you have to disclose disabilities.
Yeah. Oh,
one of them is autism spectrum disorder. Well, you can say you choose not to disclose, or you can say I don't have one, or I do. And I always put I don't have one because how is it a disability? I can do it way faster than half of you can. And so I always put I don't have one. And
good.
They come out and say you do because you have autism. I'm like, but you said you have a disability, and it's not a disability.
I love that. Absolutely. It's a superpower.
A lot of times it is, but like Superman has a hard time sometimes.
Yes.
You'll have a hard life. So with it, you have things that you're really good at, but at the same time, there's going to be other things that you're not as good at, right? Where everybody who's really good at something, for the most part, has something else that they're not great at. Very few people are amazing at everything.
Absolutely. That's everybody. And that's why we all need each other, because some people are good at some things, some other people, are good at other things. So yeah, I don't know why, there's this need in society to like qualify everything. And instead of just getting to know the person. And I think it's because it's kind of like the corporate format where you need to, the government, like they need to know certain things. Yep. And there need to be boxes. So it's easier for them instead of a more humanitarian or humane, or I don't know how to call it. More humanity-based, there it is, humanity-based approach. It's more of a numbers checkbox approach.
I feel like it's a lot of a first world problem type thing, right? In third worlds, there's no check marks for whether you have autism or not. Can you do the job? Can you not know? Like, you're going to have to figure it out. We don't care what you do differently, because I think it's a luxury to be able to figure out. And I think, to me, I definitely feel like it was a luxury to be able to get diagnosed and to have that information. That's powerful. Yes. And that is something that not everybody has access to. And so I do think, when you look at numbers, there's way more people in developed countries that are getting diagnosed with autism than not. It's not because it's more prevalent. It's because, again, it's a luxury. People in third world countries, it's an expensive, time-consuming process. And when you're living in a country where you have to spend most of your energy trying to survive, you don't have the time for that.
Absolutely.
I agree. Being able to classify people is a luxury, and having your own classification to me, it was a gift. Being able to have that information is knowledge, and it's power. And I'm so glad that I had it done. And lots of people, I told somebody once, I remember there was something had happened. Somebody got very mean and aggressive with me, and they got very close to my face, and I didn't know. That's, again, I don't have a script for that situation. Now I do, because it happened to me once, but I didn't. And so at the moment, I just kept saying, please step back, please step back, please step back, because I didn't know what to do. And I got called on it because I was on the board of an organization, and they called me in about it. And I said, look, I didn't start anything. I didn't say anything back. And then I told them, I said, I have Asperger's, and something like that is very scary and hard for me. Absolutely. And I remember the president, his response was, I'll pray for you. And I felt like saying, F you, no, I pray for you that don't have Asperger's, that have to be normal. Which
right.
Don't pray for me. I'm not sorry. I'm not asking for pity. I'm just
pity. Oh, I hate that.
It drives me. I don't speak to him anymore because he screwed my daughter over. But it's just like people that feel bad for me, I'm like, we're not going to be friends, because there's nothing to feel bad about. Like, I can do math in my head 100 times faster than you. I feel bad for you.
That's funny. Yeah. See, then I'm not Asperger's because I can't do math fast.
Everybody's different. My thing is math and science. Definitely.
I'm just joking. I'm an artist. I'm more the artistic, very artistic.
I think that is, I have my birds are the little, are they called mustaches? And stick people, that's the most I can do. I have no artistic ability. So I'm in awe of people that have artistic ability.
That's funny. No, I'm a writer, I'm a comedian, so it's
Yeah,
like it's a different form of expression.
totally.
Um, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let me tell you, we can talk for hours. You and I, we should do a live on LinkedIn about work and neurodiversity. I think that would be really cool.
Oh my gosh, it is
We should do
impossible
that.
to get hired. But everybody that I've worked for adores me.
Yes, because you're
But it's
awesome.
so hard to get past the
Because
one-on-one, the difficult circumstances. It's
yes,
there's no prep, and all the human resources ask you like, tell me a situation when this happened, and tell me a situation when that
how do I
happened.
do
Like,
that?
what?
I
How
don't
do
know.
you handle it? I don't like. We moved on. I don't stop it. But those are things that people train for, and that you bullshit
Yeah,
your way through. And I just, I don't know how to. And there's a lot of companies that are starting like initiatives to hire neurodiverse people and all this stuff. But I don't know how many of them are doing it right.
yeah.
It,
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. It's
it
just, it's like, checking boxes to me, it's just like, it shouldn't be there. Like gender and like, disabilities and ethnicity. Who cares? It's like, I'm a person, I'm me.
does that
Like,
like are there studies on that people of certain ethnicities can't do certain jobs? But I think it's
what?
because of quotas and whatnot.
That is so, okay, I'm done.
It
I
is.
am done.
I mean, it works to our advantage, but it shouldn't, right? Because we're
Yeah.
minorities, but it's stupid. I don't. Yeah,
Don't get me started on that.
that's
I was born
also
and
a
raised in
personal
Argentina.
problem.
Yeah, because we don't have that problem of
No,
like ethnicity. It's like you're either, Argentinian or non-Argentinian, and it's like that's it. That's about the only quote unquote discrimination. It's like
it's always like, does everybody in Venezuela look like you? I'm like,
I know,
no. I was like,
girl.
listen, Venezuela had a bunch of Indians that were all raped and pillaged by the Spaniards, and everybody
Yes,
that's left is some blend of them. I don't like.
yeah.
None
Like
of them
we
all look like me.
Okay, we can do another live about that as two Latinas walk into a live, okay? Because I have a lot to say about that, and you have a lot to say about that. But let me tell you, I try to keep these short. You guys tune in to our next relationship coaching live. I'm going to be by myself on Friday. We're going to talk about breakups from my book, Love at First Acts. And stay tuned because Eliana and I will do a live on LinkedIn on jobs, right? And
Yeah.
then we're going to do a live everywhere about being Latina and people not knowing where to put you in what box. Are you white? Are you brown? Are you like it's a nightmare.
I know. Real quick,
Yes.
I know we're gonna go. There's apparently this Facebook group. Every time I tell people I'm from Venezuela, Americans, because I
Yeah.
think their brain automatically thinks I have to be from somewhere in the U.S. They say Minnesota, and I'm
No.
good. Not, and there's a Facebook group. It's I'm from Venezuela, not Minnesota, because something about the vowels.
I love
The closest state. So all the time people think I'm from Minnesota.
I love that. I want to be in that Facebook group. Let me tell you about my thing. I was like, they were like, when I lived in the South, they were like, where are you from? I was like, I'm from Buenos Aires. And they were like, hey, you're from Venezuela. I was like, no, Buenos Aires. Not And I, for the first like 10 years of my life, I was like, why do people keep saying, I remember you. You're from Venezuela. I'm like, no, what are you everybody? And then I figured out it was Buenos Aires and they took it as Venezuela.
Yeah.
It's like,
I
girl.
think it's just because their mind is programmed to think of this limited geographic area. And we speak English well, so they're like, oh, well, they have to be from one of these countries because otherwise they would have an accent. Like, no, that's not how it works, actually. Has nothing to do with where you're from.
Oh my God. Okay, so I did a podcast that was like, no shade, but it was like ultra right Christian. I'm okay with anybody's views and everything. I have no issues, but apparently they did. So they were like, oh, you're a fake Latina. You're like, what's her name? Hilaria Baldwin. I was like, girl, no, you did not just call me Hilaria Baldwin. You remember she faked she was from Spain?
Oh my God. Yeah,
like,
and then they named their daughter some Yeah. Yeah, my daughter gets told all the time that she's not Hispanic because her dad's white and she looks like me, but more. And I'm like, listen, you tell them that you are the daughter of an immigrant and ask them how many of them can say that.
Right.
Just because you look more Hispanic doesn't make you more Hispanic. Your mother was born and raised in South America, emigrated here, was a student visa, work visa, finally became a U.S. citizen. So you are Hispanic, girl.
Thank you. Exactly. Yes. I love that you tell them that. You teach your kids like that, because it's like the discrimination people don't understand. And the discrimination we face is completely different from other ethnic groups. And it's like, you're not Hispanic. It's bullshit. You are white. They tell me all the time I'm white. I'm like, oh my God, I'm done. I am done.
Well, my poor little son has blue eyes and blonde hair. So imagine.
I'm like the albino in my family. My family, they're all dark. I was like in the sun when I was 19. I started having wrinkles here because I was like this on the like laying out in the sun, like myself. Like I want to be darker. I don't like to be glowing in the dark.
I don't do sunscreen really, and I know it's wrong. And I am a geneticist. That's the doctor part, and that is not how it works. But I just say brown people don't get cancer, which is wrong. Don't quote me on it. Brown people.
I know. For real, yes.
But I never got it, and my daughter's tans better than I do, and my poor little white son got really, really sunburned when he was little, and I was like, oh, we're gonna have to buy sunscreen. And my little daughter says she had to have been like 3. He's sadly white, but she's 3.
That's so cute.
But she was saying like, we have to get him sunscreen because sadly he's white and needs sunscreen, not because there's type of discrimination in it.
That's so funny.
Like, Sweetie, he's sadly white.
I love kids. They're so funny. Yeah, they're like so pure that we misinterpret them. Yeah, totally.
We get along great with kids.
I know. Oh my God. I teach swimming to kids and I tutor kids, and they love me and I love them because I get them. Like, I understand, like, oh, you're doing this because you're scared of this. They're like, yeah. I'm like, did this happen to you maybe when you were a kid? Like you were in the water and they're like, she gets me.
Yeah. When I teach my kids, all love me, I think, because we're like at their level.
I think so, because it's like a
purity. Like you're humans. I don't care that you're 16. You're a human and you're going to have to function in the world. So let's treat you like a human.
That's right. I don't treat kids like, condescending. I hate that.
Never did it.
Ever. The little ones when they're like tiny, yes, I'm like, but that's different. But no, I treat them like, I talk to them with respect. A lot of people don't talk to kids with respect, it's just so wrong.
Yeah.
It's just the worst. And here's Bravo needs bacon. He's just laughing.
That's a fantastic name. Bacon is, I love bacon. Bacon and Nutella, like, make everything better for me.
Oh my God, stop. Not together.
Every Mother's Day, I get a jar. And my daughter makes me something with it and then brings me the jar to eat it. And I eat it and that's it. I won't get it again until next Mother's Day.
Oh, that is so funny.
I will eat the whole thing, even if it makes me sick.
That is your gift, even if it makes you sick.
And it is worth it.
That's amazing. I love it. So we have 5 people on X, and we have 1 on YouTube, 1 on Facebook, and 1 on Twitch. Very nice.
I haven't been on Twitch. I'm going to have to try it.
Girl, I only have 2 followers, but they're the most loyal followers.
They're always on the spectrum. So I'm going to go on Twitch.
I know. And it's like, it's a streamers platform, so it's really not kind of like my jam, like a game thing. Okay. But 2 followers, the ones I got, they're just like so loyal. Yeah, they're great.
I'll have to look into it. My son's a gamer, so he might have an account. I'll ask him about it.
There you go. You can stream on his account.
Use my tech support for everything.
That's amazing. All right. So this was so fun. We could talk for hours, and I know people are engaged because they've stayed the whole time. Thank you guys for staying and for connecting with us. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this as much as we did. We're having a blast. Yeah. And you should be back on the live for sure if you want to, and we'll have you back and we'll chat about anything. I know we can talk about whatever.
We can find something, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like, I don't know about you, but I have an opinion for everything.
Pretty much. Yep.
You do too.
And I don't think my opinion is right, but I do still have one.
It doesn't matter.
I'm possibly wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And when they ask me something and I don't know, I'm like, immediately I come up with an answer, and I don't know how because I don't know about the top. I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, I have an answer for you.
Yeah, let me figure.
Where did that come from? I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, and I didn't look at Instagram. Let's see what we have on Instagram. Oh my gosh, we have a lot of people on Instagram. Jose, Jim McCall, Dave Caruso. Oh my God, we have so many people. John Cavari. I love it. Thank you guys for tuning in, everybody. Okay, so we have a lot of people, which is great.
Awesome. I love it.
All right. So I will.
This was my first podcast ever. So I just,
Oh
I hope I don't embarrass myself. She said,
no,
Mom, you got it.
You were made for podcasts.
Thank you.
Yes.
I enjoyed it.
Awesome. Me too. Me too. All right, you guys, thank you for tuning in. And I'll see you on Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And then it's every Tuesday and Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And I think it's 5 p.m. Mountain time, Central time. All right. Bye, guys. I'm going to end the stream.